I'd like to call the Dublin City Council meeting to order. Pastor, would you give us our invocation tonight, please, and then we'll say the pledge to the flag.
Father, we come in Jesus' name to be about your business. And we just thank you and we ask for your grace and your wisdom. You said, he that lacketh wisdom, let him ask. And Lord, I pray for wisdom for the councilmen and councilwomen and for the mayor, God, to lead this city in a way that's well-pleasing to you. And God, let this meeting today go smooth and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, ma'am. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Before we get started with our regular agenda items, we've got a special presentation to make tonight. Mr. Scott Thompson, do you mind coming to the podium, please, sir? And your bride is more than welcome to come with you. I saw Kathy back there a minute ago. You okay?
You got our check ready.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the mail. Okay. But our Mayor Pro Tem, Gerald Smith, is right here, is going to come around and make a presentation to you.
Thank you.
Scott Thompson is no stranger to Dublin. You know, if you read his articles in the paper, he's been a friend of the city of Dublin and to our citizens for a long, long time. And such a wise counsel to the city council also, and to various other groups. I've been fortunate since I've been Mayor Pro Tem to do two of these, and I was just asking the mayor if there are more than two people that are actually alive that have done all this stuff. He says there are, but they're not very many. So it's my pleasure this time to award the Golden Shamrock, very prestigious award. Not very many people get this.
A Medal of Honor winner got that many years ago.
Well, you're in good company, and he is too. But I just want to say on behalf of the city of Dublin, we thank you so much for all the efforts that you put forth for all these years of keeping track with our very rich history and keeping us aware of the things that went on before us and how important all that is, even to this day. We thank you so much, Scott, and I hope that y'all will help me recognize Scott with the Golden Shamrock.
Thank you, Jim.
As a matter of fact, the other recipient's in the audience tonight. Reverend Sheffield back there in the back. You're welcome to say welcome to say anything you want, as long as you don't take over a minute. All right. Thank you. Okay, item number 1 on the agenda is an approval of the February 1st, 2018 City Council meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Jones and a second by Mr. Griggs. We approve the minutes from the February 1st meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Item number 2 is approval of the February 6, 2018 special call city council meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
I'm sorry, who was the motion?
Johnson.
Okay. Got a motion by Mr. Johnson and a second by Mr. Jones that we approve those minutes. Any discussion there? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Item number 3 is approval of bills over $3,000. You have a copy of those in your pack.
Make a motion, we pay the bills, Mayor.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Edwards and a second by Mr. Davis that we pay the bills. Any discussion there? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Item number 4 is approval of purchases over $3,000. Mr. Jones.
Have no purchases, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Item number 5 is presentation by the representatives of the Dublin Lawrence Cultural Center. And I think we've got several members out here tonight. Would someone like to come up and address council? Thank you for being here.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'm Suzanne Dukes, and I'm president of Art Dublin. And I'm coming on behalf of Art Dublin, and as well as to introduce all of our cultural groups here in Dublin, Lawrence County, to share with you, let me put on my glasses, what some needs and the value we have in Dublin, Lawrence County. Our group, Art Dublin, which is the visual arts, has about 45 members. We put on 2 big shows a year. One is in a couple weeks, the St. Patrick's Student Art Show, and that's open to all students, including homeschool. So it's important. A lot of kids don't enjoy sports or don't do well with sports, and visual arts may be just the thing, and they look forward to this. And we have an art show in November as well for fine art. And this year we did a student watercolor event during that weekend. So we want to incorporate the students, the children, people maybe who can't afford art lessons, private lessons, be able to reach out. But we need means and a place. If we had a place, we could have little workshops, and, you know, if we had some means to do that and a place to house that, would be just wonderful, because it's an opportunity for people to grow. Every city needs that. Even Swainsboro, which is much smaller, has a cultural arts center. And that's one thing people look for when they are moving or visiting a place. They want to know where there's something besides maybe, you know, we have wonderful sports facilities, but some people like the arts, and so that would be wonderful to have that. Some of the things we've done, we made the cow mural that's just right back here. My sense of direction, I'm not sure, but the Art Dublin created that cow mural, and we did a backdrop for the Lovett House for the Nutcracker Ballet. That's one thing that we created a few years ago. We have painting on the porch. We did that at the Dublin Lawrence Museum and helped house or sit at the museum on Saturdays. We've done the Friday night events at the farmers market a few times, and some of the Main Street Friday night events as well. We've had plein air paints, and all these things we invite people to come and join so that they can experience the arts, which are very gratifying to many of us. I teach school. I'm an art teacher and music teacher, and I can see students that many of them live for this opportunity to be able to show their art and create art, and some of them don't get that. I teach at East Lawrence, and a lot of the students don't have the means within their home to have these opportunities. We would love to have a coordinator, somebody that can be in charge and make sure that we're coordinated on our calendars so we're not interfering with one another. With 2 events at the same time, competing for one another, we can, you know, if we had a place, maybe we could have the garden club do activities or workshops. But I guess I won't speak for the garden club. I'm just speaking for Art Dublin. I have a vision of many things that can happen. I don't mind talking to little children, but y'all make me a little bit intimidated. But that is something would be great for our community. Something that, you know, if we could, somebody wants to Google Dublin, what's to do, wouldn't it be wonderful to have all these things right there? When I Google Macon, you know, you can see all these different cultural activities pop up. And so it'd be wonderful to say you can come to the Cultural Arts Center and, you know, see the art that's hanging or the student art, or, you know, go join a workshop, something like that. So I appreciate your time. Thank
Well,
you.
before you sit down, let me mention I had the opportunity to speak with Glenda and Mike 2 weeks ago, and they were talking a little bit about y'all's program and your vision. And one of the things they said was really being interested in getting into the school system, like you alluded to, and meeting with the superintendents and seeing how y'all could work together. Could y'all elaborate a little bit more on that?
Going into the school systems
Yeah.
to
To
if we had a
get the
cultural
kids-
arts center.
Right.
Well, do the student art show. I'm in charge of that, which we do in March. But if we had a place, we could, you know, send announcements to the schools, and they could announce, you know, students are allowed to, or, you know, are invited to come for different activities, whether it be fine art or gardening. You know, a lot of kids maybe could learn a bit about, in the back there behind the Lawrence Arts, or the historical museum, if they had that area and they could do that, we could certainly announce it and meet with the superintendents. So she may be a better one to ask about that specifically, but it sounds wonderful.
What tonight are y'all, asking? I know the obvious, the money would be nice, but
Money.
that's kind, we're
Always
kind of,
seems to
our
boil
hands
down
are
to
tied
money.
to that. But what do y'all, what do you need? Do you need just a space? Is that what you're looking for?
We definitely need a space. We would love to have that, to be able to use that Lawrence Dublin Museum, Historical Museum, and have a coordinator, someone that can oversee everything and be available, because we're run strictly on volunteers. And you have the, people who are working full-time jobs, and you want to do many things, but it's sometimes difficult to dedicate another 10 hours a week or so. So we need a coordinator and a facility.
So you have talked to the county commissioners,
Yes, we did last Thursday.
and what did they say?
They did not say anything to me when I was up here, but they said they would discuss it and let us know in a couple of weeks at the end of the whole council meeting.
What is, Scott, now that you kind of retired, what is the status of the, museum?
Well, we're still there, but my original vision, some people call it my museum, but it's not my museum. It's people of Dublin and Lawrence County, but my vision was to make it a cultural center. And I'll just go ahead and say some of the things I was going to say, but that was the whole vision for the art groups, the the garden groups, scouts, school students. We've got plenty of parking. Capital City's already said that visitors can park in their parking lot. So that was my original goal, was to have all groups, all different backgrounds, and everybody as a cultural center for Dublin and, in fact, in Lawrence County as well. So I have no problem with it. Nobody's ever accepted my resignation.
Well, it sounds like to me y'all need to talk.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's owned independently by the Historical Society, isn't it?
Okay, I'll just go out of order. I was supposed to be last. Used to be a man that sat right over here where Councilman Jones is sitting. I think you would all remember him, and he always said it's a poor frog that won't croak his own pond. I know you all remember Mr. Scarborough. We think of our community, and like to think of our community, as being a progressive community, one where people enjoy coming here to retire, to live, to locate their industries here. And, it's really evident that we're having people from not just Alabama, Arkansas, Michigan coming here. It's people from all over the world coming to Dublin and Lawrence County. And in order to, in my opinion, to attract those people to move in here, we have to show who we are. Culture is a broad term. Some people think of it in its narrowest sense as just visual arts, singing, dancing, those kinds of things, but it's much more. It's West Lawrence Jazz Band. It's the St. Patrick's Festival, Black History Festival, potential project coming up to redo the in its time the Negro 4-H Center down at the southern part of Dublin. But culture is a much more broader sense. In the end, it's all about who we were, who we are, and what we can be, important now, with the right opportunities to help these kids who might never get a chance to have art lessons or be exposed to classical music, rap music, whatever. And I think that it's imperative that our city and county appropriate sufficient funds. I'm not in on all the funding of this. I've heard one or two numbers. But I think it's imperative that we show the world that we're serious about Dublin being a great place to live. I stood here 24 years ago begging this council. I don't know if anybody was on here, maybe Gary was, when we came in and begged for the money to build Theater Dublin. We got some resistance at first, but all of you know what's happened to that since 1994, 95. 2 years before that, we came and made a presentation to redo and save the Fred Roberts Hotel, and you see what's happened today. I'm sad to say I'm 61 years old and rapidly aging. I know there's some people older than me, but I've been doing this a long time, cheerleading for the city that I love, and I just ask that you consider the group's proposal for partial funding of a director. And I think with the facilities we already have, in my original intent, the building space is not a problem. And I would just like to see the whole city work together and the county work together to show people who we are and what we can become. And I'm always full of facts, and I can't ever not just tell a little trivial fact or so, but 80 years ago Wednesday night, a World War II veteran of about the age of 29 came out to the VA and acted in a play. 7 years later, Ernest Borgnine won an Academy Award for Best Actor in a movie called Marty. 1951, right behind where y'all are sitting, a 22-year-old actor came in here with his wife, and they performed, and his name was Hal Holbrook, and he was a many Emmy Award-winning actor. So it gives these types of programs, it gives our city a richness that I think all of our citizens deserve. On the other hand, I think all of our citizens need to jump in as well and support it, not just put it on the back of the council and the county commission. But I'm calling everybody to take a look at it, consider the funding. Like I said, I am officially retired from the museum, but I'm not leaving the city of Dublin until you haul me out in a coffin somewhere. So thank you for your consideration. And I have to say also, I was not able to attend any of the things with Ms. Drigger, but I want to add my applause to her appointment as county commissioner. A history-making, but a very wise decision. And I still wish she'd come back to the city.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on the behalf of the?
I'm not a painter or an artist, but I have, for over 17 years, painted the Page House continuously. My wife and I own the Page House, as y'all know, up on Bellevue. A frequent question that we were asked by people planning to stay in Dublin was, what's there to do in Dublin? Depending on the season or month, we could share the events that we were aware of, but in the gaps of time, we would suggest that they just come to Dublin to relax, maybe stroll historic Bellevue and look at some of the scenery. Fortunately, with the proposed projects for expansion at the Southern Pine Sports Complex, the Riverwalk project, the rebirth of locally owned shops and businesses, and the revival of the downtown Dublin area, there are more opportunities than before for visitors and local citizens to enjoy and learn about Lawrence County communities. Everyone would agree that great schools, affordable health care, and safe streets all help to create strong communities. But is there something deeper that draws people to a city that makes them want to put down roots and build a life? The Knight Foundation joined with Gallup Polling to conduct a 3-year study. It's called the Knight Soul of the Community, in 26 communities to answer this question, which determines the factors which attract and attach residents to their communities and the role of community attachment in an area's economic growth and well-being. The study focused on the emotional side of the connection between residents and their communities and why visitors want to come back. The research findings also showed a positive relationship with the higher the community attachment, the greater the economic growth. Among the top 10 domains that were found to drive community attachment were these three: social offerings, which translates to opportunities for social interactions and citizen caring, like arts programs and cultural events; openness and welcomeness, the community's ability to show hospitality and how welcoming the community is to different people; and then aesthetics, the physical beauty and green spaces that would apply to our local garden club programs. All of these domain aspects can be addressed and expanded under a Dublin Lawrence Cultural Center. Cultural organizations attract patrons inside and outside their communities. We all know the economic impact of outside patrons, where their spending can be up to 3 times higher than local patrons, showing that cultural organizations can generate additional income for the community. Cultural organization participation directly correlates to an increase in quality of life and civic engagement, including voting, volunteering, and charitable work. This quote in a 2016 article, 5 Key Ways the Arts Drive Economic and Community Development, says, cultural activities enrich and expand our understanding of what binds us together as a community, where we have come from, and perhaps where we are going. A little investment in the arts can go a long way toward keeping our community on the forefront of the creative community and hospitality and tourism. This article also states local governments need to answer the question, what do people want? Artistic, cultural, and social experiences are what keep people in a community. Small communities like ours can take advantage of local talent to showcase our unique personality while providing important educational opportunities to our children and creative interactions for our citizens and visitors. What we need is for leaders to include new ideas into the existing economic development conversation, to include a collaboration of the resources among these individual organizations into a coordinated program under a cultural director, center director. It's the question that all local officials ask themselves: how can we attract and retain profitable businesses and talented people? A key component of such efforts, and one that's often mislabeled as an amenity, is arts and culture. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. I like everybody having to look at my backside. Good evening. My name is Glenda Belcher-Berry, and it's my pleasure to be here to represent Dublin Lawrence Arts Council. I am the current president. Scott, you knew my father, Dr. John Belcher. My mentor. We are very fortunate because we have had a rich history. For 55 years, the Dublin Lawrence Arts Council has been around in some form or fashion. It started first at the Dublin Association for Fine Arts. It evolved into the Heart of Georgia Community Concert Association, and eventually in 2002 became what we now know as the Dublin Lawrence Arts Council. One of the things that I noticed here is that with all these wonderful arts organizations, they've been very siloed. And we have an opportunity through a cultural center to bring people together in a collaborative way. While I wouldn't proclaim to tell you that I'm the best vocalist or dancer or performer, I can tell you when I was a little girl growing up in Athens, Georgia, and painfully shy, what changed my life in the most significant way was learning about how to perform and how to speak in front of people. It was life-changing for me. And in my current professional job today, I can speak in front of a group of 1,100 people and not be nervous, and that shy little girl from many, many, many years ago is long gone. By making the arts a priority in Dublin, we in Lawrence County, we can really enrich our citizens, we can instill pride, and most importantly, we can change the future for not just young people, but for all people. For when the days go by, when you can no longer throw a football or maybe go out and hit a golf ball or hit a baseball bat, you can always appreciate the arts because they are truly ageless. I leave you with a quote in the words of former Texas Congressman Barbara Jordan. The arts are not a frill. The arts are a response to our individuality and our nature and help to shape our identity. What is there that can transcend deep difference and stubborn divisions? The arts. They have a wonderful universality. Arts has the potential to unify. It can speak in many languages without a translator. The arts do not discriminate. The arts can lift us up. We can make this happen in Dublin and Lawrence County. So I ask for your support of this Cultural Arts Center, and let's come together and make Dublin the even greater place that it already is. Thank you so much.
My name is Wileen Hardy. I've lived in Dublin, Georgia for over 20 years and worked in Dublin City School System for over 17 years. I am also a member of Art Dublin. I have been a member for about 2 years now. As a child, I drew a lot, and sometimes I would paint by numbers, but once I graduated from high school, I didn't paint for many years. I am here today to talk about what art means to me. Art gives me a way to express myself through painting and sketching. Art is therapeutic for me and fun, and we are surrounded by the influence of art each and every moment, from the moment we wake up until the moment we lay down at night to go to sleep. As an artist, I can harness my interpretation of a visual art on a medium, knowing that it's my creation. Art Dublin is my way to meet other artists and show our talents, creating community involvement. Art Dublin is an important part of our community because local people like me can share artistic talents with others. Art brings all age groups together. We can learn to value everyone's unique talents. Art Dublin is a vehicle that makes it convenient for our school students to bring their art into the community of Dublin and have a platform to display their artwork. Our community and others can view the artistic talents of our school students that they are producing under the guidance of our art teachers. People of all ages are drawn together by art. Let us continue to share our local talents in Dublin to help our community grow. Thank you.
How you doing? I want to say a little bit about the arts because I was working with the PTA. I was on the board of directors with the PTA as I also founded the PTA at Dublin High School. We've been trying to get the art program they have an art program at the school. Yes, about the school. We've been trying to get them to allow some of the talent, and the kids can paint. Let's put it this way. To get some of this talent out so it can go, nationwide, statewide. We have a program that we do at the Waldorf Performing Arts in Atlanta. We do it every year. You have to be good. We had people that could make it, but for some reason, they didn't make it. For some reason, it's hard to come out of the class. So, good luck. Hopefully, you can figure out how to get the kids to join your program. I've been trying for like 5 years. I have not one picture, and they can paint. I'm looking at it, this is a winner. That's a winner. This is a winner. Because they do display them at the high school, so you get a chance to see them, and then they display them at our PTA meeting because we asked them. And so, they're talented. So, you're working with some good people. Good luck.
That's it. All right, council, do you have any comments or questions for the group? Okay, I'm sorry.
Are we gonna talk about this at the planning?
I was gonna suggest that if that's all right with y'all. We're about to embark on our annual planning weekend, and that's when we plan for next year's, and our next year begins July 1st. But our next year budget and our programs and such, I feel like council, this will certainly be a subject that we'll talk about and get back with y'all. You can contact Lance anytime after next week. I see Larry's just walked in, and I've got to say that the painting in the back here during our bicentennial was Juan's, and the one out on the in the entrance, the clock was one did that for the city of Dublin as a gift several years, well, in 12. Doesn't seem like that long ago.
That's right.
Thank y'all very much for coming and making this presentation. I'm sure we'll be getting back in touch with you. Yeah. Okay, item number 6 is a presentation by Dublin City Tree Board for Arbor Day. And here comes another artist.
Keep my mouth shut. But I'm very intrigued with the apple art. There's no reason they couldn't come under the cultural umbrella with us and get some things done. So we need to put something out that invites all groups, not just the listed ones, to talk to us about being part of what we do. Because, art does relieve stress and keeps things from happening like it's been happening in schools and things across the world. But the other thing that reduces stress are trees. And we do thank the city of Dublin for their tree board. Our city it's always been progressive, but trees are such a priority in your council work, and I appreciate it that before you cut down a tree, it's thoroughly investigated, and the arborist looks at it and talked about how we can plant it, and then looking at all the plans like Stubbs Park, where can the trees go, and make sure they're in the right place so they can be left alone to grow to their stature like the 90-year-old pines in Stubbs Park. But I didn't give the mayor a copy of the proclamation.
Okay.
In a tree city, Dublin's been a tree city for 18 years, is to hold an Arbor Day observance and a tree city and a proclamation. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock at the Shamrock Fire Station. It's been changed. Saxon was the original location, but now it's already planted at Shamrock. In honor of our firemen, YKK has donated a 25-foot red oak, American oak tree. So we hope everybody can come out and listen to Miss Harriet Claxton read the Arbor Day poem and sing Arbor Day anthem with us, and here's a speaker from the Forestry Department, and just reiterate how important trees are in our community.
And
Now
that's
leave
at
it to
11 a.m.
11 a.m. tomorrow.
Thank you.
Shamrock.
You want this back?
Would you read that?
Oh, I'll be glad to.
It's proclaimed, yeah.
Not even hard words in here, are they?
I should have I marked through most of them, yeah.
Okay, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. Whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska to encourage others to take action to protect our trees as valuable natural resources. Whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and as a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community wherever they are planted, and are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, now therefore I feel best, Mayor of the City of Dublin of Georgia, do hereby proclaim Friday, February 16th as Arbor Day in the City of Dublin. I urge all citizens to attend the official Arbor Day observation to be held February 16th, 11 a.m. at the Shamrock Fire Station. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of the future generations. Thank you. Thank you, Patsy. Okay, we've got a presentation by Ms. Rozier of the National Night Out Program. Did we get another award this year, Ms. Rozier? Yes. All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I just came and I want the South Side to stand if they will, the ones that's here, the board of South Side to stand if they may. I want to first thank the South Side for wanting to do this, bring National Night Out into Dublin, and trusting me to coordinate this event. Also, I'd like to thank the City of Dublin for their support, the City Council, and all of the collaboratives and volunteers that we get. It's not me, it's the greatness of this city and the people that's in it that just have really jumped on board with this National Night Out. To Chief Chapman, I do like to present this to the City of Dublin, National Night Out 2017, Police Community and Partnerships National Award 2017, recognizing outstanding participation in America's Night Out Against Crime, presented by NATW to Dublin, Lawrence County, Georgia. I just want to add that we was in Category 5. We moved from the Rookie Award to a category, and Category 5 is a population of 5,000 to 15,000, which Dublin has a population of 16,377, but because of the area what we had, we could be in that category, and we would also enter in that category this year. Out of 16,377 communities, it was 164 winners out of 12 categories, and Dublin is in one of those, as one of those winners. I also want to make sure I thank all of the collaboratives, partners that, and I won't call their name because there's a lot of different ones that has joined us as partners, and all the collaboratives have joined in. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the hard work you do too in this project. Okay, item number 8 is presentation by representatives of the City of Dublin Youth Council.
Am I allowed to touch this?
Oh, yes.
Good evening, everyone. To Mayor Best and Council, we, the City of Dublin Youth Council, would like to thank you for this opportunity to share our 2 most recent trips, National League of Cities and Mayor's Day 2018. We have attained an enormous amount of information, and we are eager to bring these amazing ideas back to our city. Presenting today, we have Ms. Kiana Jones, Ward 1 Representative, Ms. Jalecia McCrae, Ward 2 Representative, Ms. Audrey Charles, City Clerk, and myself, Sydney Price, At-Large Representative. First, we will have the National League of Cities Conference by Ms. Kiana Jones.
Good evening. Attending the National League of Cities Conference allowed us to interact and learn with other youth council groups from across the country. We were exposed to a multitude of new information on creating robotic limbs with computer software, organizing and implementing effective groups to involve youth in community events, and the importance of diversity in all areas of leadership, politics, and community relations.
We also, good evening. We also had the privilege of meeting city officials from across the country, and not to toot our own horn, but they were very impressed by our great behavior and excitement to be in all the activities that day. Each day introduced us to a new group of classes. Team building and teamwork was necessary in order to complete many of the class assignments in a timely manner. Not only did we participate in group work, but we also took the initiative to step out onto the stage and present or act out scenarios for the instructors, as you can see by the pictures. Examples of our classes are how youth councils can support economic mobility and opportunity in your city, urbanization and gentrification, and school safety and climate control, just to name a few. We assisted with packing book bags for inner city Charlotte youth and had the chance to hear Mr. Irvin Magic Johnson share his knowledge of how to succeed in life while helping others too. With all the educational sessions taking place, the Youth Council also managed to squeeze in lots of fun and laughter as well.
In January, we visited Atlanta, Georgia, and attended the Mayor's Day Conference with other youth councils from Georgia. The conference began with us in group sessions and participating in icebreakers with other youth. We spoke with Alderman Van Johnson from Savannah, Georgia, and listened to a panel of youth council officials encourage us to all continue leading in our communities as teen leaders. We were able to hear Mr. Al Duncan teach the importance of soft skills and how to become a true leader. We really enjoyed his session.
Good evening.
Evening.
On Sunday afternoon, youth council representatives were placed on the panel. It was here that the Dublin City Youth Council became internationally famous, so congratulations for us. Okay, so maybe I exaggerated a little bit, but we did share our impressive list of events and activities that we have done since August of 2017 to an audience of peers and city officials. So, close enough. On the last morning, we met Secretary of State Brian Kemp and Mrs. Stacey Abrams, and they were kind enough to take a photo with us. There we go. All right. So before we left Atlanta, State Representative Matt Hatchett graciously set up a tour for us at the Georgia State Capitol, and we had a great time and we learned a lot. So we cannot say thank you enough to our mayor and our council for your endless support of this wonderful program. It is our prayer that this program continues to grow and change the lives of many youth. These conferences not only inspire us, but it lights a fire which encourages us to listen to others in need, learn from those in charge, and lead our fellow peers toward becoming more engaged in their community. So one more time, let me just say thank you.
It is at this time we ask our newest members, Ms. Varsha Lalabatu and Ms. Zaylin Powell, to come to the front, please. Okay. Mr. Powell, you have the floor.
If you'll raise your right hand. I, and state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support, uphold, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America and the state of Georgia, that I will obey the laws and ordinances of the city of Dublin, Georgia, and the bylaws and rules of the city of Dublin Youth Council, and will faithfully perform and discharge the duties incumbent upon me as a member of the Youth Council fairly, honestly, and to the best of my skill and ability, and as to me shall seem to be for the best interest and welfare of the city, without fear, favor, or affection, so help me God. And if you will, say I do. Congratulations.
Thank you, ladies. I know y'all have got a couple of guys in there with you, in your group with you, and I'll tell y'all, you see this group of folks, young people, and it's very encouraging to see them. They're not only at conferences learning, but they're putting they're working in the community. You see them volunteering. They're not backing up or backing down from any work that's given them from the 150th anniversary at First AB to a lot of other events, and we're just proud of y'all and what y'all are doing here. You're really setting a good example for the rest of the kids. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to item number 9, and that is discussion and/or action of an intergovernmental agreement with the Central State Hospital Local Redevelopment Authority.
We have been working as the City of Dublin with the Central State Redevelopment Authority for about 2 years to put this agreement together. Mr. Mayor, you told me this was about the only agreement like this in the state. There's not another one anybody's got in place, so it's kind of new territory. But Central State owns their own gas system. It is kind of an underperforming gas system in that they don't have a business sort of mind in running it. It always running as just part of the Central State Hospital. So they were looking at some way to get some management of the system and really start encouraging some gas use, keeping the system in good shape. And they talked to the City of Dublin because we have a gas system, and we're actually, people don't realize it, but the City of Dublin's gas system goes all the way to Milledgeville. That was our first original take point when the gas system was built in the 50s, so we were very close to their campus. Like I said, we worked over 2 years, and basically we want to set up a partnership with them, and we would gradually obtain some ownership in the system up to 40% over a period of years, and we'll run the gas system, and after taking out all the expenses of running it, we'll split any money left over with Central State 50-50. Most of the gas system is new. It's in good shape. They had replaced a lot of the pipe in there. As part of getting ready for this, we've already done what we do in the city of Dublin is do a leak survey. We go around, make sure there are no leaks in the system anywhere. Didn't find anything, found a couple of little minor things and easily fixed things. But what we're asking council tonight to do is approve a resolution. There's still, Central State's lawyer is still taking a last look at it. I think he's given approval, but he still wanted to look at it just a little bit, and there were some more terms they sort of wanted to think about. So instead of just approving the agreement, what we're asking council to do is approve the agreement as it is. If they don't change anything material, and by material I mean more than changing an and or a the or an or something, you know, changing some spelling, something like that, we won't come back to y'all. But if they change, and it'll be approved tonight, y'all will be through. If they change anything of a material nature, something that affects the agreement, anybody's responsibilities under the agreement, we'll come back to y'all to approve those changes before it's in place. But this will basically put this agreement in place, allow us to do the final, some financial things that they need to provide us, we need to provide them, and we'll be up and going. They'll approve the agreement either at their meeting next week or the week after, according to when they have it. So there any questions about it?
Any questions from council? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the resolution?
Move for approval with authorization for minor changes.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Edwards and a second by Mr. Jones that we approve the resolution. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Okay, item number 10 is citizens' comments. Are there any citizens here that'd like to address council?
Again, I felt the same. I'm Thomas Wheeler, but anyway, I'm here to speak a little bit on the Negro 4-H. In my research, I did find that Dublin City was, in fact, Recreation Department was the tops in the state, and I believe Don Hammock was I don't know if you know, Don Hammock was the director of the Recreation Department. He got appointed to the state, and they took the blueprint that what they were doing in Dublin, and they placed it all over the state. And I think Dublin may have forgotten about the blueprint. The reason why I say that is, I don't want to spend too long, is because when I came up, we had recreation departments all over the state. Katy Dudley Village, we had Oconee, we had, I don't know where it was in Scottsville and Telfair, but anyway, there was one all over there. And they played each other. They had recreation, basketball, baseball, this kind of thing. So it was really kind of a good concept that was going on, and they mixed it with the 4-H club with the swimming. So there was lots for things for kids to do. Now those particular buildings now are occupied by cities or some kind of municipalities, for example, to do other things. But, you know, not only were they recreational, they were a safe place for the kids to go in case of the village when things got a little chaotic at times. And other places, and so that was, back in that time, that was a big deal. So anyway, you might want to think about backtracking to where we was at. We want to try to get Dublin back on track on that. But going into the Negro 4-H, I think that we need to invest in rehatching that history as well, because there was a lot going on down at the 4-H club, which myself personally participated in, and it really was an enrichment program going on, and I didn't know it, but it was really, and you know, and it didn't even include basketball, baseball, no sports. You know, it was swimming. It was a lot of camaraderie type things you did that were, you know, built fellowship and friendship and all the things that you wanted to do to improve your life, and things of that nature. So we need to get back to that blueprint. And that's why I was saying that the city probably needs to really, really invest in some of the things that occurred during that time period of segregation when the city was doing here. It was really spot on. Sometimes it was more directed towards the people in that community to help them, it's directly, help them to focus on what they were doing and what they needed versus what somebody else thought they needed over there. So it really worked out pretty well. And some of the people that participated is our very own Councilman Jerry Davis. I see Reverend Sherfield, he was there, and I wanted to look a little bit at my phone, because during the recreation, there was also the history that I got. It was like 5,000 African Americans went through that 4-H club. Right? There was 150 meetings, but there's more information out there. I know. I just got to find it. I don't know. But but that's basically the history of the club. There's a lot of people that went through there. Okay, and mainly the swimming, and like I said, the leadership, the camaraderie, the competitions that they did, speaking, and just, being there together and learning how to live it. And nobody got shot. Nobody got stabbed. Nobody got beat up. So the program worked really well. So that's why I'm saying we need to get back to some of the things that occurred during this Jim Crow period. Yeah, we need to get back. Some of the stuff was really good. It really was good. Okay, and so we need to really get back on track, and we need to fund the Emory Thomas Auditorium, because that's the last building standing. We need to fund the program which is going to reconstruct the history there. And I think that with that, along with your river walk, and you look, and you have a place to go now, once you go down there, instead of going back the same way you came, now you could go up to the auditorium, take part in the facilities. And if you put a restaurant, which would be ideal in terms of you trying to, maximize your income on your golf course, put a restaurant there, private parties, other things that's going on, jobs, and it would be a perfect matchup, private parties again, and that you could do if you decide if you wanted to do that. So that in mind, I think you really need to fund that historical site, make it a historical site, and look at developing the property for its maximum potential, and getting back to some of the things that was done during Jim Crow by the old heads, and get back to that template that the 4-H Club laid down, where we're actually trying to work with certain groups. I know people kind of scared to say that, and I said, oh, we try to help them now. It's look like we're, but we're trying to help the city. They're part of the city. They're paying taxes. They want to be an asset, not a liability. They want to be a part of this. Oh, one of the names I ran across, Jerry, was Willie Jones. And Willie Jones told me that, I met Willie Jones, he's a professional football player at one of the Oconee Alumni Association's reunion. And I kept looking, and he said, man, I lived in Cherry Quarters. I said, what? He's lived in Cherry Quarters. He grew up with a broken home. He left Dublin. He went to Florida State. He was, of course, you just can't resist. See, this is why we got to get him retired. Okay. So he went to Florida State, and then he was drafted by the Oakland Raiders, and he sat beside me, and I said, oh my God, you're the guy that was always killing my team. Because I was with Miami, and I said, who is this guy? He's always got the quarterback doing like this. I said, come on, man. But anyway, a lot of people went through that 4 weeks.
I'm Jerry Chapman, and I was born and raised in Scottsville. And I'm here tonight to talk to you about what I think is a very positive program on the South Side. I'm also the chairperson for the Botillion program, which is sponsored by the Oconee High School National Alumni Association. The Botillion is a 5.5 month program that uses various activities to encourage positive development of a group of male teenagers in grades 8th through 12th. And the program raises money for scholarships for seniors at local high schools. The Botillion is conducted every 2 years, and the first was held in 2008. 8 teams began the 2018 program on the 6th of January with 2 workshops. The first workshop was spiritual maturity. The second workshop was decision making for teenagers, part 1 of 4. Decision making for teens teaches a process for making sound choices in real life situations. The process is taught using relevant stories and personal situations that teens face on a daily basis. The workshops are held at the Oconee Cultural Center, and most of the work for the program is accomplished by a group of dedicated and hard-working volunteers. The program will excuse me, I'm a little nervous in front of this august group.
Don't be.
The program will conclude on the 9th of June with a black tie banquet at the Dublin Country Club. I would like to introduce some of the individuals in the audience that are volunteers with the program. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Please do.
Could you please stand, all the volunteers that are present? I see Miss Pamela Ingram. She is the instructor for the Decisions for Teens course, and she's doing an outstanding job.
Yeah.
We have Reverend Otis Dixon. Reverend Dixon is one of our mentors. Thank you. And we have Mrs. Drigger. Sorry about that. Mrs. Drigger is an advisor to our steering committee. Okay. What I'd like to do now, if you don't mind, is to give the council a copy of our schedule and then just kind of go over some of the highlights. Is that okay?
Sir, absolutely. Thank you. Okay.
In addition to the training on decision making and the training on spiritual maturity, we have several classes on the 7 habits of highly effective teens. And the very first habit is to be proactive, to take responsibility for your own life and not blame others. We also have instruction concerning how to write an essay, introduction to playing chess. We have a speech therapy session with Dr. Terry Dixon. We have a class on managing anger and positive attitudes. And the teenagers will participate in the MLK oratorical contest. The teens will also be involved with Keep Dublin Beautiful community cleanup. We have a couple of field trips, one to Savannah to a cultural festival, and one to Atlanta to various locations, including the MLK Center. And the teens are required to write an essay based on their visit to the MLK Center. We have a career workshop, money management for teens, a class in etiquette, dance lessons, because the teenagers provide the entertainment at the banquet. And lastly, we have a panel of local role models. And that panel will include our own Dublin Police Chief Chapman, I'm a CHAP, he's a CHAP. We will also have on that panel airline pilot John Curry, educator Emery Bostic, and Miss Linda Hay, who is a physical therapist. Okay. So that's all that I have. Thank you very much for listening.
All right, anyone else like to address council? Not, we'll go to council comments. Mr. Davis, we'll start with you.
I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening, and I do want to commend Mr. Scott Thompson for receiving the Golden Shamrock Award. We are just so privileged to have a walking historian here in the city of Dublin in Lawrence County. Thank you very much for the hard work that you've done. And I want to thank all of the presenters this evening for coming in and sharing with us on what you all are doing to help make Dublin better. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
Mr. Best, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. Mr. Wheeler was mentioning 4-H a few minutes ago. I was the 4-H leader here in Dublin for 20-something years. So 4-H is in every county in Georgia. And Raymond Joyce talked about it last time. They all going to put a marker down at the Riverview Park golf course. 4-H is in the Dublin City School, and it's also in the Lawrence County school system. It's in every school. So it's not the same as it was years ago. But they have an opportunity to go to speaking contests, all kind of activities. So we have 4-H in Lawrence and Dublin City School. Thank you.
Mr. Griggs?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Scott, congratulations on your award. And I would like to say thank you for everybody that came to make a presentation tonight and catch us up on what's going on. And have a safe night. And that's all.
Thank you. Mr. Edwards?
Tell Scott, congratulations on your receiving the award, and thank you for all that you've done for the community over the years. I'd like to thank everyone who made presentations tonight. You know, it's a testament of the community when you see all these different aspects that's working together as groups to make something happen in Dublin. It's great to see, you know, a lot of different groups, and hopefully all the groups can come together for, you know, all of it is for a common person is to make Dublin better, whether if it's for youth programs or for the Arts Council to bring people in from out of town, or no matter what it is, it's all working for the betterment of Dublin. And I truly like to thank all of you for committing your time to that, because you know, it does take volunteer hours, and in this busy society with everything that kids have us doing or anything else in life, it is a sacrifice to spend extra time to do things of that nature, and I appreciate everyone taking their time to do that.
Mr. Smith?
Well, I'll echo what everyone said. One thing that didn't get mentioned, congratulations to former councilwoman Ms. Julie Drigger on now being a county commissioner. Maybe you could straighten them out. You tried desperately on us, but you up to the task. But I want to thank all of you for coming. All these groups, you know, it kind of reminds me a little bit. It's got a little history. Winston Churchill drank an awful lot, and somebody commented about it one day and said, "You realize you've drunk enough scotch to fill this room this deep?" He looked at a big room. So much accomplished, so much yet to be done. Well, why? Maybe that was a poor example, but it's all I could do. But we've accomplished a lot in Dublin, but we've still got so much to do. And all these things are important, and let's just eat this elephant a bite at a time and get it done. So thank y'all so much for all you mean to our success.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jones?
Thank you, man. I'd like to echo what everyone said. Thank everyone for coming out. Congratulations, Mr. Scott Thompson, on your award. Thank the citizens for their voice and voicing their concerns about different things, and we will take notice of it and talk about this. Also, I'd like to remind everyone that presently up until March the 19th. The youth council are taking applications now. You can pick them up at your schools. You can pick them up at City Hall. Ms. Keltzler, contact Ms. Keltzler Holder. So they're out to your school, see your counselor. You pick up, and we are looking to, per council request, enlarge it and make it bigger and more participants, more people participating in the program. So please feel free to pick up an application if you would like for your child to participate in the youth council program. And also, I hope everyone looked at TV 35. Our team court was on there from Saturday and had visitors. So if you haven't seen that, go to the TV 35 website or catch it on TV 35 and enjoy that. So you see our youth in Dublin are doing wonderful things, and we continue to congratulate them and keep them inspired to do more.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Powell?
Yes, as the city's attorney, it's incumbent of me to say that Councilman Smith was not advocating drinking alcohol.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Stanley?
No comment.
Jones?
I just want to say I had the great privilege of working with Mr. Scott Thompson as a partner in a law firm, and watching him up close. Depends on how they treat me this weekend. But watching him up close, I can tell you Scott has literally about worked himself to death for the city of Dublin. I mean, he works hard in his law practice, but he does so much extra. I've told him several times the magic word is no, and he just won't learn it. So, Scott, congratulations, and it is well deserved.
Sir, had a couple of people come up tonight and talk about being a little nervous talking before this group. It's really not that big a deal. If you don't believe it, just talk to my wife and ask her. We appreciate y'all coming, Scott. I think a lot's been said, and I can't add to it other than thank you so much for what you've done to the community and for the community. No further business, we stand adjourned.